Good afternoon, everybody. Zach Meyer with Meyer Property Maintenance. I typically don't do a whole lot of videos when I'm kind of like actually filming myself. I'm more, showing jobs and how I'm doing the jobs and whatnot. But I think it's important to do a video that addresses, how I come up with my pricing, what goes into a job, the maintenance behind it, so some people can kind of understand a little bit better about why things cost the way they do, and everything that goes into the job. So I'll start with I'll tell you the costs of the equipment. I won't give the exact numbers on what they cost me a month, just because I don't think it's that important. It's expensive, so it's important to know that. So for example, the excavator, it's about a $60,000 machine. It's well north of $700 a month, and that's just for the machine alone. For the new TX1000, the stand-on skid steer, that is about $40,000, and that's also north of $700 a month. The truck, it was around $50,000, and that's also north of $700 a month. So, just between those three pieces of equipment, which are obviously crucial in the work that I do and offer, the services that I offer, it's really important to understand that they cost a lot of money every month. We're not even touching base on the insurance. There's a lot of insurance involved. I have a $2 million liability policy, and that covers the equipment and myself on the jobs. If we were to damage anything, you're taken care of. You don't even have to really think twice about it. If it's something that I did, it's totally on me. I have no problems, putting in a claim. Never had to put in a claim because I take my time when I do my work. I want to make sure that the money that you spend with me is worth it to you, and whatever we're doing, whether we're clearing brush, doing a drain system, cleaning out a pond, I want to make sure that you're happy with the money that you spent with me. That's important to me as a business owner, and it's also important to my reputation, because I want to get more work, and I also want recurring customers that call for something else in the future, or whatever the case may be. So how I get my my pricing, if you think about it, sometimes a job, for example, might cost $1,500. Could be spreading out gravel, it could be breaking up concrete, removing the concrete, could be a lot of different things, and I get my pricing based on like to fill the truck up. It's about $140 from top to bottom. I think maybe a month ago, when the gas was a little higher, it was actually north of that. You can burn 3/4 of a tank of fuel in a day without a problem, especially if you're towing the excavator back and forth. If I'm using the dump trailer and I'm hauling stone, or I'm hauling material off of a job, depending on how much material there is, it's a factor. Where we dump stuff, if we have logs or something that the brush cutter can't cut through, and that stuff has to be removed and taken somewhere, there's not a lot of options in Chester County to take brush. You really got one game in town. Well, two, if you're counting the landfill, which is really out of the way, typically from where most of my work is, in the Phoenixville, Royersford. We do some work in Exton, some work in Westchester. We also do, a lot of work out in Coatesville as well. But it's fuel, it's time. You get charged to dump brush, and it's not cheap. It's always over $40 at the bare minimal. That's just the dump. That's not including the $25-30 in fuel that you burn just going there and back. Also the dump trailer. I got a good deal on the trailer. I drove a long way to get it last year, and it's it's not cheap. The trailer is $12,000 trailer. you know, that's another payment, you know, every month that, you know, I have to factor into a cost. You know, not even just that, you know, let's talk about the grease. You know, there's about 30 grease points on the excavator. I'd say there's probably about 10 to 15 on the stand-on skid loader, the 1000. And they have to be greased about every 5 hours or so. I won't go past 8 hours. It takes about 45 minutes to, you know, grease the entire thing, wipe everything up. That's what the excavator dingo doesn't take quite as long. But you know, that's time. After they, you know, at the end of the week, you know, they gotta be pressure washed. You gotta keep them clean. You gotta keep the track system clean, check the track tension. You know, you're checking fluids. Sometimes you're adding fluids. Some, you know, diesels burn a little bit of oil. That's, you know, common. Even if they're brand new, you might have to add some oil here and there. You know, an oil change on the excavator is $300. I mean, now I'll be doing that myself. The 1000 is not quite as much, but you know, the filter, you know, it's well over $100. You know, you're not doing that stuff as often, but you know, it's something that you got to pay attention to. You know, you're also, you know, you got your filters and stuff, you know, your fuel filter, your water separator, you know, in diesel terms. You know, that stuff isn't cheap. You know, a stupid filter from Cat cost me $100 without even, you know, thinking twice about it. And then, you know, those parts have just been going up as time's going on, so they're getting more expensive, you know, more expensive. So, you know, I have to think about stuff like that. You know, and, you know, back to the insurance thing. You know, I got a liability insurance, but there's also insurance on the equipment if something happens to it, if it's stolen, if it's damaged. You know, that cost me, and I'm on the lower end of the totem pole in terms of the cost. It's about $1,100 every 2 months. You know, it's a chunk of change. It's not, you know, a couple $100. But that's also to protect my investment. And then on the liability side is to protect you, the homeowner, to protect, you know, your home and everything, you know, on your property. And I'm mindful of that. I try to guarantee all of my work. I don't go out and just rush through something and just do it. And try to get out of there as quick as I can. I take my time, and even if the customer is home, I'll explain to them what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, why this, you know, for a drain, for example, why that will not fail. I have done years of research. I've worked in the field for years. I know what's going to work and what's not going to work. I've seen people make mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes just by watching. I've made little mistakes here and there, but nothing catastrophic. Water runs downhill. You got to pay attention to where the water's going, you know, how much water is, you know, coming out of the end of that pipe, whether it's a pop-up drain or if it's draining, you know, somewhere else into, you know, a runoff ditch. There's a lot of factors in there. So you're also paying for accuracy, punctuality. I will always be there when I say I'm going to be there, as long as I can help it. Sometimes the weather can get in the way depending on what kind of jobs you're doing. I won't do something that I feel like I'm incapable of doing. I will always put you first. You know, I'll give you the best price that I can give you for the work that I'm going to do. And like I said, my reputation is very important to me. I come from a father who's had his, you know, he's been a builder in Chester County for 40 plus years. They've had a wonderful reputation. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about them. They do everything to the T. And they survive recessions and stuff. They're very smart, and I take a lot of that. I've learned a lot of that from my dad and how he conducts himself in business, and I try to follow in those footsteps. So, you know, when I price a job, you know, it's, you know, you got a lot of money in equipment going to do a job. You know, it's hot out. Today it's 93 degrees out. You know, we did a little brush clearing job. You know, that machine gets hot. It gets worn on and stuff like that, you know, especially in the heat and especially running a cutter. I mean, I had to stop periodically to let the thing cool down for a couple of minutes because, you know, it's let me know that it's hot. It's a machine. You know, they can break, they can overheat, things can happen. So, you know, there's a lot of factors in the pricing of the job. You know, if there's the terrain, if it's super rocky, you can kick a track off, and that's good. You know, that could be an hour out of my day just trying to get the track back on, depending on the situation that I'm in. Now, I try to do everything I can to avoid that situation. You know, it's also important to know that, you know, just one track, I know it sounds crazy, it's just, you know, some metal bound to some rubber, but one track is, you know, north of $2,000. That's for one track. If something was to happen to a track, it's on me. I mean, it's not on the customer, you know, so it's a lot of cost, you know, so you're close to probably $5,000 from Caterpillar to get a set of tracks. So it puts in perspective, you know, if somebody says, well, they can do it for a little bit cheaper. Well, you know, they may or they may not. You know, it all depends on their overhead. But, you know, if you get a contractor, there's a lot of bad contractors out there. So, you know, not all contractors are good. I'm not saying that there aren't awesome contractors out there, but there are bad eggs in every batch, just like anything in life. You know, if you got somebody who's really, really cheap, and they can rush over to your house tomorrow to do the job, and I might be booked 2 weeks out, you got to scratch your head and ask yourself, you know, why is he so cheap? You know, what kind of insurance is he carrying? Is he incorporated? You know, is his business legit? Is he paying taxes? But the insurance thing is really big. You know, you don't want somebody coming onto your property who doesn't have liability insurance, because, you know, if they hurt themselves on your property, they can sue you, and, you know, they can win. It happens, you know, it happens all the time. People are sue happy nowadays. So, you know, those prices, you know, it's built into the job, you know, why the price is the price, because if something happens, like, you know, that, you know, I'm covered, and, you know, it's not coming back on you. It's not your fault. You're hiring me to do a job, and I want to do it as efficiently as I can. And I want you to be happy with what we do. So, you know, I just really wanted to take, you know, a second to just kind of explain, you know, a little bit about cost, time, you know what I mean? Just everything that goes into the business. It's a lot of work. You know, I'm not even thinking about it until now, but, you know, shop space. It's like another, it can be another mortgage. You know what I mean? And I also I gotta pay my bills at home, and I also gotta save money and stuff. I mean, I have to live. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things, you know, built into that. So, I mean, I have, you know, my house, and then I also have the cost of the shop as well, you know, on top of all that stuff. So it all, you know, intertwines. And, you know, any contractor, like, you know, that has equipment, you know, 9 times out of 10 nowadays, like, you typically need an industrial zone shop. You need to be able to store your equipment. Now, some guys are, you know, fortunate they have enough property, or they're able to build a pole barn or something and work out of their house. That's not always the case, especially in Chester County. It's getting built up on, and it's becoming more and more difficult to do stuff like that without neighbors complaining, or, you know, zoning, stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff there that, you know, all gets rolled in. It's why, you know, the prices are the prices. I don't want to overcharge people. I don't want to be known for being somebody who's too expensive. I want to know, you know, that I'm a fair price. I'm insured, I'm incorporated, I have experience, you know, not only with, you know, doing, you know, operating the equipment, but, you know, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, you know, double checking everything, crossing my T's and dotting my I's. Call PA1 Dig. I won't put a shovel in the ground unless I really know that, you know, there's no FiOS lines, you know, depending on how deep you're digging, you know, septic, power line, or electrical line can become a factor. Septic and electrical are typically 36 inches deep, and most of the time, not all the time, but when you do an electrical line, or, you know, you have like a gas line, you run out some tape in your trench, which is about a foot or two above where the line is. And that if somebody's digging across it and they pick up that ribbon that says caution, you know that underneath you is a problem, and you need to be careful. You know, plenty of guys have lost their lives digging a simple trench that cost $800. You know, it does happen. People do die from that. You know, if you hit an electrical line and the current gets through that machine and gets to you, you're gonna die. You know, it's either that or you're gonna have some serious issues. Gas line, you hit a gas line, oh my God. you could blow the house up. You can blow yourself up instantly. I know people who have hit gas lines, and you know, they shut the machine off and run for their life. You know, it happens. But you know, that's another reason why, you know, I call PA1Dig, and I pay for that, you know, each year, to make sure that they come out and they mark you the utilities. And you know, even they mark utilities, there still can be other stuff in the ground, pipes or, you know, old lines from whatever. I'm careful with that. I dig slow. I don't rush through things. You know, I dig at half throttle when I'm around people's houses, because if you grab something, the machine will let you know, hey, there's something here. You know, a lot of times it's just a root, but sometimes, you know, it is, you know, you could grab a Fios line. I've grabbed them before, and you know, because I'm digging slow, I don't rip the line out of the ground, and then I don't cost my insurance, you know, a claim, or have to pay for it out of pocket. You know, it's nothing to be concerned about, because I take the proper steps to be safe with what I'm doing. So all of that is a factor in my pricing. I think I'm fair. I've never really had anybody tell me that I was outrageously expensive. Some people might have a different interpretation on what they think they should pay for something, but when you start to add everything up and what's really behind the scenes, you know, $200 really shouldn't be a determining factor to hiring a good contractor who's going to guarantee his work, who's going to answer your phone calls, who's going to pay attention to you. You know, I treat all my customers the same, with all utmost respect. I'm grateful for them, because without them, you know, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be, you know, living the life that I want to live. I love this business. I love being in this business. I love the equipment. It's something I'm passionate about, and I feel like I'm never really working, because I enjoy doing it. So it's important to me that I want my customers to know that I care about them. I care about the money that they spend, and you know, you're going to get what you pay for with me, and it's going to be done right, and it's going to be done right the first time. They always say, you know, it's cheaper to do it the first time. I've had to go back and clean up people's messes, you know, from time to time, or you know, there's jobs that some people just don't feel confident in doing, and I do, and I'll do them. And I'm you know, like I said, I'm confident in what I say that I can do. If I feel like I can't do it, I will not try to do it and fail and waste time, waste the customer's time. I will not do that. So I just wanted to put together a video, just for my customers, for anybody who watches my channels. I know I don't, you know, I'm not really a camera guy, but I figured I'd do a video, you know, me talking and whatnot, and you can see who you're, you know, who you're hiring before I show up and whatnot. So I just wanted to leave it on that note, and enjoy the rest of the day. It's about 93 degrees outside today, so I'm sitting in the truck doing the video. But yeah, enjoy the rest of the summer. Please, you know, feel free to reach out. You know, if you see our videos, you know, if you got in touch with us through Facebook or something of that nature, you know, reach out. Free estimates. I'm fully insured. Any documentation on insurance, I'm more than happy to show it to you. You can keep a copy of it. And I'll show you exactly how I do the job in person. I see some of the stuff on the videos if you already have seen that, but I just I want to pride myself on being a good contractor and being successful and giving everything my customers pay for. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.